I'm Italian, German, Danish, English, Espanol.
With 24 different languages spoken across the territory and 28 country members, the European Union can be said to be diverse.
Who am I? I am Europe.
Culture has an important role in the European Union since it is used for external policy purposes as a soft power tool, reflecting the stability and unity of the Union. Therefore, even though the EU entails several different cultures, creating and extolling a European identity is important. With the current state of the European Union and of the single market, connections across the EU have increased between citizens, businesses and so on. Therefore, EU citizens are increasingly likely to encounter different cultures within or off the business context. When I, for example, from a country, try to interact with my coworkers or classmates from another country, to what extent shall I modify my behaviors? The European Union states that we should not want to replace the existing cultures, but create a European culture in parallel of it. Is it really possible, though, considering the strong cultural differences across the countries? And when it comes to external relations, is there really such a thing as a European culture?
So, according to the European Union, preserving local cultures is essential. But why are there even different cultures in the European Union? And how does it affect businesses at all? Cultures are influenced by several different variables, but the primary factor that contributes to a culture formation are geographic and historical. Geographical first, because the place where civilization decides to settle influences the type of food they'd grow or, for example, the type of material they would build or craft with. All of that depending on the landscapes and on the resources that were available around them. As a part of a geographic variable, climate also contributed to the formation of cultural traits and habits. For example, a Lambda citizen from Baltic countries will most likely be very much into ice hockey, but not at all into surfing, while the situation will be the opposite from someone from Spain. Of course, it seems obvious. But what is interesting to note is that climate actually influences several traits of characteristics, some of which can affect business relationships too. Take the following situation, for example. Imagine that a Swede and a Spaniard try to schedule a business meeting.
Good morning, this is Tina Olsen from the Swedish Transport Office.
Oh, hi. I was waiting for your call.
The team just finished to submit the final project proposal, so would you like to meet to discuss the details? So what about dinner then? Would Tuesday do for you?
Yes, dinner is perfect. I'm available.
Awesome. We can meet down my office and I will book a table at a restaurant nearby.
Okay, we could go to Rosato.
Fine. Shall we meet at 4 p.m.?
Oh, you mean for lunch then?
No, for dinner.
Well, I will still probably be in my lunch meeting at that time. 7 p.m. would be better if that fits for you.
Fine then. Have a lovely day. Bye.
Okay, bye.
So, in this situation, where does the cultural difference come from? As for hockey, the main factor is climate. Indeed, in Sweden and Scandinavia as a whole, in winter, night falls around 4 p.m. To be able to make the most out of daylight, Scandinavians eat earlier than in most of the other European countries. On the other hand, summers in Spain are very warm, as most of you experienced. A natural response to this climatic constraint was for Spaniards to work outdoor while temperature is the lowest, until 2 p.m., and then pausing for lunch, generally between 2 and 4, to avoid working during the highest temperature of the day. Therefore, southern cultures' rather late dinner time can be explained as a response to climatic factors as well. Besides geographic variables, history also contributes to shaping cultural traits, such as language or habits. For example, Hungary and Turkey. From the first look, these two countries do not share many attributes. They are not even geographically close. But then, how to explain the language similarities found within these two countries? The answer is simple. In the 16th century, a part of Hungary was annexed by the Ottoman Empire, and Ottoman Hungary was sustained 150 years. When invading, the Ottoman did not only bring their swords but also their words. And this is the reason why nowadays Turkey and Hungary share some linguistic attributes. Similarly, mass immigration, Asian trading relations and other historical shocks can have persistent effects on cultural characteristics.
Good morning. I'm so sorry I was late. There's such terrible traffic.
That's alright, there's always things you can't foresee. Yeah, I was just working on something else, but I think we can start the meeting now.
Okay, great.
Oh, look who decided to show up.
I'm so sorry. There was such terrible traffic.
Yeah, honestly, I don't really need excuses. Just check the traffic in the morning, make sure you're on time, or just leave earlier. You know there's going to be traffic, right?
Yeah, of course. It won't happen again.
Alright, thanks.
Universalism and particularism are the theories set forth in Trompenaar's cultural dimensions. They outline one's ideals of proper social structure. Universalism refers to a society where rules always apply, whereas particularism refers to a society where situations are imperfect and rules cannot always dictate the way life unfolds. These dimensions can be traced back to religious movements across Europe. During the Great Awakening, religion started to change. With this change in belief brought a change in society's outlook. Countries with strong Protestant values generally fall under the category of universalists, whereas countries with strong Catholic value are more individualistic. Concretely, northern countries tend to have a stronger sense of universalism, while southern countries are often classed as particularist.
Excuse me, boss, do you have a second to go over the sales plans thing with me, please?
No, I don't have time right now.
Can we maybe do it on a later moment today?
You can check my schedule with my secretary.
Alright, terribly sorry for bothering you. Hey George, how you doing?
Hey, I'm doing fine. How are the kids?
Just growing up, you know.
Yeah, I know the feeling. So what's up?
Do you have a minute to go over the sales thing with me, please?
Yeah, sure. Let me wrap this up and I'll be there in a minute.
Alright, perfect. Safe fun.
See you.
The European Union is very divided on terms of power distance. Northern countries have a very low index, while southern and eastern countries tend to have a higher index. In the east, we see that the high amount of paternalism and the history of communism and corruption are the reasons for this power distance. In the south, paternalism comes into play, as well as climatological reasons. In the past, there was an easier survival rate, and this made people need authority in order to work, rather than do it automatically for self-survival. Power distance also influences innovation. Lower power distance gives employees the freedom to come up and express new ideas to managers. This makes the first steps of innovation way easier, but as soon as the stages of innovation get further, strict decisions are needed and authority is needed to let these decisions work. Lower power distance can make these decisions harder as the authority is less respected, while in a higher power distance environment these decisions will be easier to push through.
In conclusion, despite the establishment of the single market, businesses still cannot consider the European Union as a homogeneous market, mainly because of the many culture-induced differences that impact daily aspects of communication, work relations, values, and so on. Even though the free market will most likely keep on enhancing connections across the Union, there is a long way to go before we can say that a European culture, as a homogeneous set of values, behaviors and expectations, is established and applied to facilitate business operations across the EU and externally support the Union with foreign relations.